Well, a good Sunday to you. Thanks for finding us here. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson. Time for our tropical update where we get to kind of dive into things just a little bit more. And I'm going to start with the fact that we've had a quiet season, but I will say it does look like there is an area in the Atlantic that the Hurricane Center is looking at a little bit closer. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. But I just want to talk again about this fact that we've had a quiet season so far here in 2025. But I think what is unusual to that, I've got a couple different facts up here for you. But when you look at this last one, I think that's kind of what makes this feel like it's a little unusual that we haven't had a named storm yet. That's because it's been 2014 since the last time we haven't had something named in before July 1st, let's put it. So in other words, in the past 10 years, we've had a named storm in either May or June, or even before that, as a matter of fact. And so those are sort of the recent rhythms that we've been used to. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's not so uncommon that we haven't had a named storm. As I said, with the National Weather Service, they normally use a 30-year average as what they call normal, or what the average is. And so in that case, we would say June 20th would be when we would expect to see a named storm. So we're really not that far from it. Again, all of that being said, we do have something of interest in the Atlantic finally. So the bigger picture shows a little bit of activity out here in the Atlantic. And then the Pacific, of course, has been very busy so far and continues to remain very busy near Central America. There's a large area here where it's highly likely that we will see another storm form. And this could again even possibly become into a hurricane. So Eastern Pacific, it's not really what we focus on here with our tropical update because we're focusing on the Caribbean, the Gulf, the Atlantic, kind of that eastern part of the United States and the Gulf Coast states. That's kind of our prime area. Although, of course, we recognize that there's a lot of you on YouTube who are watching us from the Caribbean, and we're glad that we can be a part of your preparations and planning when we talk about hurricane season. And for all of you guys that are in the Caribbean and looking for that possible area of development, this is a possible area of development, but it's not going to be something that's going to impact the Caribbean. As a matter of fact, there's just not a whole lot of folks that this would have a chance of impacting. Bermuda is the closest land to it, but I don't even think that that's really going to be a whole lot of a possibility. This is, again, an area out in the Atlantic. The National Hurricane Center has identified this as a 20% chance of development. Now, not just over a 7-day period. I do have that marked as a 7-day period, but they also think that it could even develop within a 48-hour period. So this is an area that really won't do a whole lot, but it is something that's definitely going to be focused on by the National Hurricane Center. And you'll watch here as we take a look at our Fox weather model. You'll try to get a little something going, and then we drop down a little south, and here's a little bit of rotation. So all of this kind of together is sort of that area that's being monitored. And we'll just kind of have to see how that goes if things can kind of get their act together. Now, there is going to be a bit of a challenge. This same area is where we're seeing our next sort of blast of Saharan dust. So you'll note that this spot that was being monitored by the National Hurricane Center is just to the north of this sort of next area of that Saharan dust. Remember, the Saharan dust, it's not really great for development. It doesn't help development take place. It kind of stifles it just a little bit. It makes it a little harder for a tropical system to form if it hasn't formed yet, and it also makes it harder for a system to grow in strength if it has already formed. So this dust will be sliding just to the south of this area that we were sort of watching, and so that's why it's kind of giving it a little bit of a chance. But notice some of that dust kind of breaking off and kind of moving up in that area. That could, again, kind of help prevent it from forming. And this will continue to move all the way into the Gulf, and we'll see that happening much later on in the week as this next sort of batch of that dust kind of moves on off of here. As I begin to conclude here with our update for today, just a couple reminders. First of all, since it's quiet, this is the time to make sure your preparations are ready for hurricane season. Doesn't matter what the forecast calls for. You need to be ready all the time for some sort of a tropical development. event, whether it be a storm or a hurricane. They'll all have different, what I like to call personalities, but pretty much your preparedness plans need to be very similar for whatever those are. So I want to encourage you to check out my hurricane gear test. It's a fantastic resource on YouTube. So if you're already on YouTube, as soon as we're finished here, go to that search tab and you can either type in meteorologist John Dawson, or you can go and type in hurricane gear test. Either way, you're going to look for the meteorologist John Dawson channel, and on that channel you'll find a playlist there that talks about all of my ideas and new products to kind of show you, just kind of, again, maybe spark some thoughts that you hadn't thought of before, and maybe see some cool products along the way as well. And as always, I give them a rating. I rank them 1 out of 5 on my Hurricane Kit Priority Scale. A Cat 1, that's a low score. Cat 5, that's a near perfect item that you would want to consider for your hurricane preparedness plan. So get a chance to kind of look that up. And remember, these tropical updates, we're doing them every day of hurricane season. So of course, I'm here on Saturdays and Sundays, but I'll also be here during the weeks coming up, but Ramisha Shade, meteorologist Ramisha Shade, will be here tomorrow. Make sure you check out that latest update on Monday.